Hello everyone. AudioShelf presents the Master Circular for Banking Facilities to Visually Challenged. This circular is updated as on 1st October 2018 by SBI. Index. Para number 1. Description, background. 2. Facilities available. 2.1 Deposit accounts. 2.1.A Deposit accounts general. 2.1.B Self-operated check facility. 2.1.C Savings bank and current accounts. 2.1.D Check operated accounts. 2.1.E Time or term deposits. 2.2 ATM card facility. 2.3 Internet banking. 2.4 Safe deposit lockers. 2.5 Loans and advances. Para number 1 Background. Bank's instructions on extension of deposit account facility to visually challenged persons are contained in Book of Instructions Volume 2, Deposits Chapter 3 and 4. In tune with the changing banking scenario in the country, the banking facilities to blind and or visually challenged persons have been further enlarged in light of supervisory and regulatory guidelines from Reserve Bank of India received from time to time. Para number 2, facilities available. All banking facilities discussed hereunder, which can be availed by the blind or visually challenged persons, are subject to usual terms and conditions governing such facility as applicable to normal customers. Any specific requirements or safeguards as mentioned here against the respective facility are in addition to the said usual terms and conditions governing such facility. Following banking facilities as available to individuals in general are available to the blind or visually challenged individuals as well. 1. Deposit accounts. 2. ATM cards. 3. Internet banking. 4. Safe deposit lockers. 5. Loans. Para number 2.1 Deposit accounts. 2.1.A General. 1. A blind or visually challenged person can open ordinary or check-operated deposit account in his or her sole name or jointly with other persons or in the names of sole proprietorship concerns or firms or partnerships where a blind or visually challenged person is or are involved. 2. For opening savings bank account in the name of a blind or visually challenged person, 2 copies of recent photograph of the blind or visually challenged person should be obtained, 1 copy being pasted on the account opening form and the other on the passbook duly attested by the authorized official. 3. A prominent remark or by means of a rubber stamp indicating that the depositor is blind or visually challenged will be made on the account opening form and in the system under the initials or authentication of supervising official. 4. If a blind or visually challenged person is illiterate or literate but unable to sign uniformly, his thumb impression should be obtained as a rule on the account opening form, pay-in slips and the withdrawal order forms, and all the other precautions prescribed for the opening and conduct of accounts of illiterate depositors will be followed. 5. However, if a blind or visually challenged person is literate and he is in a position to sign uniformly, he may put his signature on the account opening form, pay-in slips and the withdrawal order forms. 6. As advised by RBI Wide Notification Number DBR.NO leg.bc.96/09.07.005/2017-18 dated 9/1/2017. Banks extant instructions or procedures of the facilities provided to sick, old and incapacitated persons regarding operations of accounts shall also be extended to the visually impaired customers, which are as under. A. Whenever thumb or toe impression of the visually challenged account holder is obtained, it should be identified by 2 independent witnesses known to the bank, one of whom should be a responsible bank official. B. Where the customer cannot even put his or her thumb impression and also would not be able to be physically present in the bank, a mark can be obtained on the check or withdrawal form, which should be identified by two independent witnesses known to the bank, one of whom should be a responsible bank official. C. The customer may also be asked to indicate to the bank as to who would withdraw the amount from the bank on the basis of check or withdrawal form as obtained above, and that person should be identified by two independent witnesses. The person who would be actually drawing the money from the bank should be asked to furnish his or her signature to the bank. Para number 2.1.b. Self-operated check facility. Blind or visually challenged depositors, if they so desire, are allowed to operate their accounts through self-drawn checks subject to the following. If a blind or visually challenged depositor is able to sign the checks consistently. If the blind or visually challenged depositors feels that his or her or their signature may not exhibit consistency due to the impairment or some other infirmity and do or does not mind branding, care. Depositor blind or visually challenged. Stamp. Deposits Annexure C1. In order to avoid the check being returned unpaid on account of difference in the signature. In such cases, the depositor on receiving the checkbook from LCPC should bring it to the bank and make a written request for branding of checks with a caution stamp and or attestation of the thumb impression affixed on the checks. The bank official, with the written consent of the customer, shall arrange for branding of the caution stamp. Care depositor blind or visually challenged. Deposit Annexure C1. On the checkbook, each check leaf to alert the bank officials or operation staff. The thumb impression of the account holder duly affixed on the check should be duly authenticated by the bank official under his signature and SS number along with the bank stamp or seal as per the prescribed format. Deposits Annexure C 2 and 3. To enlarge the scope of banking facilities to the blind or visually challenged person, they may be allowed to issue post-dated checks to banks and financial institutions. Crossed checkbook for specific purpose like payment of loan, utility bills, etc. may be issued to the blind or visually challenged depositors if requested, or else the checks should be crossed at the time of issue. In case of self-operated check facility account of blind or visually challenged depositors, the third-party cash payment of self-drawn checks is permitted. On the request of a blind or visually challenged account holder, the bank should issue checks in the name of the specified payee to make periodic payments for the retail loans, utility bills, etc. Bank official will facilitate in filling up the check in the presence of the blind or visually challenged account holder. At the time of issuing such checks, the thumb impression of the account holder should be duly affixed on the check and authenticated by the bank official under his signature and SS number along with the bank stamp. Deposits Annexure C 2 and 3, where blind or visually challenged depositor is unable to sign consistently. Where blind and visual challenged depositor is unable to sign consistently, checks drawn under his or her signatures shall be dishonored when presented for payment in case of his or her thumb impression affixed on the check is not attested by the bank official. For cash withdrawals, the blind or visually challenged person should personally present herself or himself before the bank official, who will facilitate in filling up the check. The blind or visually challenged account holders prospective customers need to be informed or explained about his or her rights and liabilities before or at the time of opening the account by reading out to them about his or her rights and liabilities under the arrangement as carried in Deposits Annexure A/B as applicable. Declaration on prescribed format. Deposit Annexure A/B, duly signed by the account holder or holders, should be obtained in duplicate. One copy filed separately at the branch shall remain in the custody of the division or branch manager, whereas the duplicate copy shall be annexed to the account opening form when forwarding it to the LCPC. Para 2.1.c. Savings Bank and Current Accounts. 1. In all cases where a withdrawal order form or a pay-in slip is presented by the blind or visually challenged depositor, a supervising official will ensure, after making enquiry with the blind or visually challenged person, that the correct amount has been entered therein. In the case of withdrawals, a supervising official should satisfy himself that the correct amount is paid. An official making verification of this nature will record on the relative voucher the fact of having made the necessary enquiries. 2. Except for the extra care to be taken in handling cash payment to the blind or visually challenged depositor, all other rules relating to withdrawing amount through withdrawal slip are the same for both the literate depositors and the literate blind or visually challenged depositors. 3. When a blind or visually challenged person is unable to present personally for withdrawal of money, his signature or thumb impression on letter of authority for withdrawal indicating to the bank as to who would receive the money from the bank should be duly attested by 2 persons known to the bank or a magistrate under his court seal, and the passbook should accompany the letter of authority for such withdrawal. Para 2.1.d. Check operated accounts. A. The blind or visually challenged person may operate the account singly, that is, self-operated or through a power of attorney, or jointly with any other person as given below. 1. Operation by check in the account in sole name of a blind or visually challenged depositor. 1. Operation by check in the blind or visually challenged depositor's account in the sole name may continue to be permitted under the signature of a duly constituted power of attorney of the account holder. 2. Where the depositor declines to operate her or his account in the sole name through a power of attorney and insists on self-operated check facility account, her or his request may be acceded to as per the terms and conditions of self-operated check facility enumerated earlier. Part 2. Operation by check in the joint account of blind or visually challenged depositors. 1. Where one of the depositors is blind or visually challenged person, a joint account to be operated by either a survivor or any one of us or survivors may be opened. 2. The blind or visually challenged depositor can operate the account through use of self-operated check facility as per the terms and conditions of self-operated check facility enumerated earlier, while the co-depositor who is not blind or visually challenged is allowed to operate on the account by means of checks normally. 3. In case of both or all the joint account holders are blind or visually challenged, then the account will be operated as given below. 1. Under the duly constituted attorney of the blind or visually challenged joint account holders. 2. Where the blind or visually challenged depositors or account holders decline to operate their check facility account in joint names through a power of attorney and insist on self or jointly operated check facility account, their request may be acceded to as per the terms and conditions of self-operated check facility enumerated earlier. Specific terms and conditions enumerated for self-operated check facility shall be applicable to all check-operated accounts, whether in sole name or jointly with other persons where customer insists on such a facility. Para 2.1.e. Time or term deposits. 1. Term deposits may be accepted from blind or visually challenged depositors on the same terms as for other depositors. The procedures to be followed will be the same as that of for savings bank accounts in the name of blind or visually challenged persons. The photograph of the depositors will be renewed after 3 years in case of deposits held for periods exceeding 3 years. These instructions will be diarized and necessary arrangements for obtaining fresh photographs made at the appropriate time. 2. In respect of amounts tendered for deposit, the cash officer will sign the application form, that is COS 100R. After ascertaining from depositor the names of the depositors, the period and the amount of the deposit, and will authenticate each of these items on the application form. 3. While effecting periodical payment of interest to blind or visually challenged depositors not maintaining his or her saving bank account with us, the procedure laid down for passing saving bank withdrawals will be followed. Where the depositor does not call at the bank personally to receive payment of interest, a banker's check should be issued in his or her favor, which should be paid exercising safeguards as applicable to saving bank withdrawals by blind or visually challenged depositors. 4. At the time of maturity of a deposit, the deposit shall be paid or rolled over in usual course as applicable in the case of other depositor or depositors. 5. The procedure for closing of saving bank accounts will be followed by repaying deposits. 6. Official signing a deposit advice should explain to the depositor the implications and conditions attached to payment of interest or rollover or repayment, and append a suitable certificate of his having done so on the reverse of the application form. Para 2.2 ATM card facility. Blind or visually challenged persons can avail of facilities to operate their accounts through use of ATM cards at par with those of the normal persons, except that in such cases, a declaration in the prescribed format, ATM Annexure 1, to the effect that all rules and regulations governing operation of the ATM facility have been explained to cardholders in language known to them, and that they shall ensure safekeeping of PIN and ATM card issued to them. Para 2.3 Internet banking facility. 1. Access to the internet banking services for the visually challenged customers is available at our regular internet banking site, https://www.onlinesbi.com. 2. For availing internet banking facility, a visually challenged customer should have a savings bank or current account at the branch as per the guidelines issued by bank, and can avail all facilities as available to other customers. 3. Internet banking facilities shall be provided by the branch maintaining account for visually challenged customer after receiving his or her request for internet banking facility on the prescribed registration form, Internet Banking Annexure B, with terms of services for visually challenged customers, Internet Banking Annexure C. 4. After verification of details, branches may issue a normal PPK or fax the request for issuing Braille pre-printed kit to Internet Banking Department, GITC, on fax number 022 275-63478 as per Internet Banking Annexure D. 5. The kit would be dispatched by the Internet Banking Department at GITC to the branch for onward delivery to the visually challenged customer after successful mapping of his or her account through branch admin interface site 192.168.25.52, and after completing registration process in CBS as per procedure given in Internet Banking Annexure A. 6. The facility of dead man's switch will be available for visually challenged customers in the bank's regular INB site, which allows the blind or visually challenged customers to lock their whole application at any unavoidable circumstances or if they are overpowered. The procedure for opening the lock is explained in Internet Banking Annexure A. Para 2.4 Safe Deposit Locker Facility. A. Safe deposit locker can be allotted in the name of blind or visually challenged persons, literate or illiterate, single or jointly with the person, provided he or she is a customer of the bank having a savings bank account with us. B. Literate visually challenged locker hirer or hirers will also be required to put his or her or their thumb impression along with his or her or their signature, and depending upon the availability at the branch, blind or visually challenged persons shall be allotted lockers with hinges or with an additional personal locking facility as a confidence building measure. Not using personal lock should be the choice of the locker hirer. C. In case of lockers allotted in the sole name of the blind or visually challenged, he or she can operate the locker. 1. Through a power of attorney holder. Bank can accept notarized power of attorney in favor of another person who will operate the locker on behalf of the visually challenged person. Thereafter, the bank may allow operations under the signatures of the duly authorized person having notarized power of attorney. 2. Self-operated locker facility. He or she can be allowed to avail self-operating locker facility if he or she is capable of recognizing the articles kept in the locker and also capable of placing articles in the locker and withdrawing the same without the assistance of any other person, on furnishing undertaking to this effect in the prescribed format, SDL Annexure A, subject to the following conditions. Undertaking to this effect is included in indemnity cum undertaking. The locker hirer may be clearly informed that bank is not responsible for the contents kept in the locker. This clause has been included in the letter of undertaking. Locker can be operated by the hirer singly. Locker access register should always be signed by the blind or visually challenged person in the presence of a person known to the bank who should sign as a witness. While such a witness should be preferably customer of the bank, a bank official other than the locker in charge may also sign as a witness. Any operation carried out in the locker by the hirer is at his own risk and bank is not liable for any claim made at a future date. As soon as the locker operation is over, supervisor in charge of lockers should go personally to the locker room and verify that the particular locker cabinet is securely locked and that no item has left out in the locker room. This has to be done before allowing any other person to carry out their locker operations. The hirer should be informed by the supervisor before the applicant leaves the branch premises that he has verified the locker cabinet and that it has been securely locked and that no item has been left out in the locker room. This would enhance the confidence of the locker applicant. A declaration from the hirer for being informed by the bank official on the above lines may be obtained duly countersigned by the supervisor in charge of lockers. This declaration should be taken on the reverse of the locker access sheet with the following wordings. I declare that I have been informed by the locker in charge that my locker cabinet has been closed securely. In case of lockers allotted in the name of blind or visually challenged persons jointly with other person or persons. 1. Where one of the joint hirers is not blind or visually challenged. Blind or visually challenged person may have joint operation facility where one of the co-hirers is not blind or visually challenged. Following procedure will be followed in such cases. 1. Where one of the hirer is blind or visually challenged, a locker in joint names may be allotted. Co-hirer who is not blind or visually challenged may be allowed to operate the locker jointly with the blind or visually challenged hirer. 2. At no point of time, the joint account holder, without the presence of the blind or visually challenged account holder, is permitted to operate the locker. 3. Signature in locker access register should be done by blind or visually challenged person as well as by joint locker holder in the presence of a person known to the bank who should sign as a witness. 2. Where all the joint account holders are blind or visually challenged. In case of joint operation with ERS, any one of us are survivors, or any other mode of joint operation where all hirers are blind or visually challenged, and if they insist on jointly operated locker facility and are prepared to furnish the undertaking to this effect, then the locker facility shall not be denied to them. Para 2.5 Loans and Advances. Blind or visually challenged persons can avail personal and education loan facilities from the bank provided they fulfill the relative scheme criteria. This is the end of the circular. Thank you.